আমরা এই ভারতীয় আধিপত্যবাদের কবর রচনা করতে চাই বাংলাদেশ।
Welcome to the new episode of Janman Gun. Today we have with us Mr. Asif bin Ali. Asif has been a journalist and he also works with the Georgia State University in Atlanta. Asif has been covering the developments in Bangladesh and the Indian subcontinent for quite a long time. His works, his coverage has been published in globally renowned newspapers and prominent Bangladeshi newspapers. Today, Bangladesh is at a very sensitive crossroads with the passing of Khaleda Zia and an election which will take place shortly, probably in a month or so. We have with us Asif, and we will discuss the situation in Bangladesh, its impact on India Bangladesh ties, and its impact on the global politics as well, and what it means for Bangladesh to go into an election and look for stability and uh, uh, for stability. Asif, thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for being on the show. Let me begin with the first question. The latest news is the passing of Begum Khaleda Zia, and it has jolted the Bangladeshi politics. And at the same time, it also heralds a new dimension for Bangladeshi politics. Let's begin with the latest development. Begum Khaleda Zia is no more, and her son Tarique Rahman takes the reins of the party. Now, how does it fare for Bangladesh? Will it change anything? And what is the mood in Bangladesh if we talk about the Bangladeshi voters, the common Bangladeshi people? Can you tell us about the sentimental value as well as the politics surrounding her passing?
Thank you very much, Pratik, for inviting me to your show. Yes, right now, Bangladesh as a country is going through a moment of mourning. Khaleda Zia was one of the beloved leaders among many Bangladeshis for her role in the democratic movement. So she played a key role in anti-dictator movement in 1990s, alone with other political leaders such as Sheikh Hasina. And also when Sheikh Hasina established her authoritarian rule, Khaleda remained as one of the louder voice as well. So considering her overall journey of in politics for last almost like 30 plus years, I think it's 40 years around, she remained consistent in her position of leading her party for democracy and maintaining a voice that is nationalist in Bangladesh. Now, I am not going to, bring more light on some of the failures that she had during her governance, because today, everybody is more thinking about her death. And I think, of course, as an academic, as a journalist, in future, we will have more rooms to critically look into her contribution. But right now, the emotion is that the country is saying farewell to one of its trusted, loyal, and of course, motherly figure. And her death is undoubtedly going to impact a lot of people emotionally. Now, coming back to the second part of your question, yes, Mr. Tariq has returned in Bangladesh after 17 years of exile, and he has taken over the party leadership. So till now, he was so basically her mother, Khaleda Zia, was the main chairman of the party, and he was an acting chair of the party. But with the death of Khaleda Zia, Now, Mr. Tariq will be the chairman. He would be no more the acting chair, he would be the chairman of the party. And my anticipation is that, uh, you see, Khaleda, when she was handling the party, she handled it for 40 years. And during that long political journey, she built this strong group of friends. And those people are actually entrusted on behalf of her to lead the party. Now, that generation is also old now, and that generation are very likely to take retirement. So the fresh leadership would be coming and taking over the party with new perspective. And I think, of course, when everyone is sad right now and also thinking about how to make the farewell more memorable and grand, but at the same time, in the coming months, we are expecting to see a flow of new leadership within the party from the second rank. As Tariq is, of course, he is not a young man, he is a mature man. But compared to Khaleda Zia, it's considered like the leadership has gone to the young generation. So with him, it is likely that new generations of politicians would be taking over the party, and it may likely positively, push the party for a more smarter politics.
And will the party unite around Mr. Tariq Rahman? Because, like every party, every political party, even BNP must be having its own factions. Is Tariq Rahman trusted enough to take the party together? How sure are we that there won't be any fissures or factions that will be prominent enough to say give that sense that the party is not on the same page, everyone is not on the same page? How does that play out?
Uh, I don't think party is going to break away now because
Okay.
there were attempts to break the party
Hmm.
during the Hasina regime. Particularly, there were several attempts in 2018 election and 2024 election as well to break away and to bring some leader and to start a new party or like to start another faction of BNP. Khaleda Zia was in jail, Tariq Rahman was in London, and despite that distance, he was able to keep the party united. And I think the credit of keeping the party united goes to two-person. The one is, of course, Tariq Zia and his leadership. And the second one is the party secretary, Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir. Both of them kept the party united. And the uniting face was Khaleda Zia.
Okay.
So everyone, so she had this, like non-coercive influence over the party members. And I don't think anyone from the BNP would, dare to break that informal influence of charisma and then come up with their own party. Because even today in Bangladesh, like Zia family matters, as well as for Awami League, Mujib family matters. This is how it works. Now, from the perspective of, after the demise of Khaleda Zia, what's going to happen? Uh, what I am seeing right now, the party is going to get a fabulous victory for two reasons. One is definitely it's a big party. Awami League is not going to, and Awami League will not be allowed to participate in the election. And following the instability in the country and the violence, it is very likely that the BNP is getting larger support from different classes of people, from the middle class, upper middle class, the civil society group, as well as people who want stability. Uh, and when a party is about to go to the power, and when Tariq Zia has already shown his capability of leading the party
Hmm.
from Zoom, actually, by using Zoom. Now, he was doing it by using Zoom, and now he is on ground. So that means his personal presence is also going to intensify his influence inside the party. So, considering those aspects, I don't see a possibility that in absence of Khaleda Zia, the party is going to disintegrate. However, I think with the taking of Tariq Rahman's permanent leadership of the party, the party is going to strengthen, I believe. And all the symptoms that we are seeing right now, it is likely that the party would be playing a very significant role in the coming days of Bangladesh politics.
And how do you see BNP's expected political performance, electoral performance? Can they form the government single-handedly?
Uh, so I would like to go back to the surveys that we have seen
Hmm.
published in last couple of months. So I
Okay.
have seen almost like 5 survey reports, and
Mhm.
all 5 survey reports presented a phenomena that BNP is going to get a significant number of seats, which should be good enough to form the government. And now, with that, if you put the recent emotional flow, like with the death of Khaleda Zia, of course, it will add a significant emotional value among the
Right.
people. Now, if you look at the South Asia, take the example of Rajiv Gandhi, or take the example of in Pakistan, like Mr. Benazir Bhutto. When the leader died, with
Hmm.
that death, it comes with a sympathy rush, an empathy rush. And that helps the party to outperform in the election because voters often get carried away with those, memories. Now, when Tariq came almost like 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago around,
Hmm.
so that return has already energized the party.
Hmm.
And once he returned, after that, it was that, like the newspapers and the civil society groups were more finding it confident that, okay, fine, at least there is someone who is holding a centrist liberal position is going to lead the country. Now, with that sense of belief over Tariq Rahman and BNP, now add the sympathy of her mother's demise. And together, it is, going to play a very significant role in order to influence the election. Now, I don't know to what extent Mr. Tariq Rahman would be able to keep his promises in the future. I cannot also guarantee that BNP would be, providing best governance for the country. But one thing right now is pretty clear that for the centrists, for the liberals, for the people who do not want the country go in the hand of the far right group and the right wing
Hmm.
politicians, for them the choice is very simple. It's Mr.
Right.
Tariq Rahman and his party.
Okay. There were also reports in several Indian media channels that Mr. Tariq Rahman was constantly in touch with the Indian leadership, and there were a lot of intense conversations on his return, and there were discussions on the security situation. And these reports also alluded to the fact that he delayed his return because he was trying to settle some sort of thorny issues which the Indian side had raised. I cannot vouch for their authenticity, but I'm sure the message has also gone to the Bangladeshi civil society, political analysts, and obviously the people of Bangladesh. Do they see this with some sense of caution? How do they perceive these aspects of BNP and India's cautious reach out to BNP after a long hiatus?
Well, Pratik, I have seen some of these reports as well. And as a student of journalism and as a faculty where I'm teaching journalism to my students, I don't think those reports are based on credible sources.
Okay.
Most of the reports are referring unknown source, and most of the reports are basically speculating. Now, that doesn't mean that there would not be any, connection. Of course, like these two are neighboring countries, and we know in South Asia, the political party has communication in the political party level, and also state has communication over the state level. But looking at the Indian media's reports on like Tarique Rahman, delayed his return based on what some Indians thought. I don't think that would be a very fair argument to place. Of course, it may satisfy some people. And also in Bangladesh, some right wing politicians are using these media reports to claim that BNP has become like India's project,
Hmm.
as like Awami League was India's project. These kind of reportings often help the conspiracy theorist. This doesn't necessarily give the ground realities. What I understand based on, see, one of the central element of BNP's politics when BNP was established by President Ziaur Rahman, who was also a freedom fighter,
Hmm.
anti-India sentiment to some extent. But Zia was a very pragmatic leader. He used anti-India sentiment to organize his supporters in favor of him. But at the same time, he negotiated with India, sit with India, and signed I think the first river sharing treaty. And that treaty was there for 5 years, and that was considered as one of the success. Now, a general on the ground using anti-India politics, but then on the state level also communicating and coming up with solutions of the mutual problems. That is called pragmatism. Now, in Bangladesh, I cannot deny that there is anti-India politics and there is anti-India sentiment. And some reasons are genuinely, some grievance of Bangladeshi citizens are to some extent, I think, genuine. Consider it the border killing and consider it the previous intervention in the previous government. However, likewise, India has grievances as well for Bangladesh. Indian citizens has grievances on Bangladesh as well, particularly when it comes to the national security issue of India. So I cannot deny the two states and two people's grievances. But current situation doesn't, favor Mr. Tariq Zia or BNP to maintain a kind of shady communication with India. It doesn't
Okay.
help because any of such communication could politically be dangerous for the party. But having said that, it doesn't mean that when the party will be elected, they will not, communicate with India. Of course, India is a state, and as the government of Bangladesh, they have to work with the Indian government, as Indian government have to work with the Bangladesh government, and that's a very state-to-state relationship. So I am not going to give much, importance to those reports.
And does BNP have an India policy by now? If they are voted to power, and obviously there must be some brainstorming going on. Do you feel that this India policy will also factor in the previous years where BNP felt that it is not welcome because of the concerns you also discussed? Will that play some role, or there are more flexibilities that we can see? Obviously, if a party comes to power, they will have their own uh, set of tools that they can use flexibly, but at the same time, there is a lot of baggage, and that can also impact the bilateral relationship. So, as of now, does BNP have any defined policy on India, which is like a defining constant that they will always demonstrate when it comes to thinking or dealing with India?
I don't think BNP has a concrete India policy.
Okay.
It doesn't, mean that like BNP is not thinking about it. It's just based on my readings of Bangladesh foreign policy, and particularly when BNP was in the government. BNP's India policy was mostly sometimes reactionary and sometimes collaboration. Like during the first term of Khaleda Zia's government from 91 to 96, uh, BNP had a relatively good relationship with the Indian government.
Mm.
And if you can remember, during that time, Khaleda Zia's government recognized Indian sovereignty over the Teen Bigha corridor, the
Right.
particular area of that Bangladesh border which was used by India to go to the Indian enclave. Okay. So that gives an example of collaboration as well. However, the relationship between the BNP government and the Indian government deteriorated during 2001 to 2006 period. And one of the reasons during this time is that BNP was in coalition with Jamaat-e-Islami.
Hmm.
And some of the things that definitely the Indian government blames the BNP government uh, can also be tracked back to that particular section of the government,
Hmm.
which was, to some extent, controlled by the right-wing group. Now, having said that, of course, there was failure in terms of ensuring for the government not to allow the Bangladesh land in order to get help by the Indian rebels. So definitely, I think BNP understand that, but at the same time, BNP is very cautious about Indian intervention because
Hmm.
BNP believes that 2020, 2014 election would not be possible if India were not openly and publicly helping Awami League. So as you can remember, like there was an incident when the Indian Foreign Secretary went to Bangladesh and she met with some of the political leaders and make public statement
Hmm.
which was no way accepted by the oppositions the then. So, having said that, based on the both memories, I think BNP eventually needs to form their India policy. Now,
Hmm.
what could be BNP's India policy? See, right now, if you look at the election campaign, you will see there is two block. The one block is the right-wing block. The right-wing block is basically led by Jamaat-e-Islami and NCP, the party that came out of July uprising. The center of their election campaign is anti-India politics. And the target of that anti-India politics is not actually India. The target of that anti-India politics is Bangladeshi citizens who do not support or endorse right-wing politics. Okay, so this is a very calculated use of anti-India politics. On the
Hmm.
other hand, BNP's campaign is around good governance mostly. So they are promising that they would be giving good governance, they will ensure stability, they will provide health card, they will provide family card, these kind of things. Now, where comes the anti-India politics in BNP's election campaign? I think in BNP's election campaign, anti-India card comes in the third or fourth position. Of course, because there is a sentiment across the country, so they have to do that, and also they have a like particular position on it. So, but they are not fighting based on the anti-India politics. They are fighting more on the promises on the government. Now, coming back to what might happen in future, I think based on the BNP's public messaging, what I have heard from the public speech of Mr. Tarique Rahman and some of the people who are
Hmm.
representing BNP's foreign policy team, is that they want reciprocal respect for sovereignty, non-intervention, and also they want business. So most probably BNP's India policy is going to govern by these three fundamental things. One is reciprocal respect for sovereignty, no intervention in the domestic politics, and also the business. And also, I think BNP would be very careful and cautious as well to ensure that the Bangladesh land has never should never be used for any terrorist activities inside India, because that would ultimately negatively impact Bangladesh as well. And I think for the providing like good governance and stability and security, BNP would be focusing on its own national security interest.
Okay. Let's also talk about the recent alliance between the students-led NCP party and the Jamaat-e-Islami. Did you see this coming? Was this expected? And the bigger question it raises is that if NCP stood for new politics, what were the factors what compelled it to join hands with the Jamaat? And what does it mean for both BNP and their politics in the subcontinent? Because, yes, the Indian side is also quite concerned about NCP and Jamaat coming together. But at the same time, what is their but the bigger question is also it's the people who have to cast the vote. So, are they popular enough to threaten BNP's prospects? And how is that development seen? And what are the core agendas that they want to, um, say, enforce if they come to, if at all they are to have a substantial representation in the parliament?
Well, NCP joining Jamaat is not a surprising move for many of us who are following Bangladesh politics, because when NCP was getting formed after the July uprising, we are clearly seeing that Jamaat is providing the logistics, Jamaat is providing their manpower, and also all kind of possible economic and other helps. Now, one of the example is NCP as a new party has announced, like its committee in, all over the country. Now, it was unthinkable for a new party in Bangladesh with a very small amount of resources to announce all the committees, at least like majority of the committees across the country. As a political analyst, you also know, like, to do that kind of grand work, you need grand support. So what
Right.
happened actually? So Jamaat, their local leadership converted into those, get inside into those committees which were announced by the NCP. And a significant portion of NCP leaders were coming from Chhatra Shibir, the wing that was, that is the student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, some of them, they left Chhatra Shibir, they thought that they will join NCP and create a new politics like, AK party, like Erdogan of Turkey. Some thought like, okay, Jamaat has the baggage of 1971, so they don't like the baggage. So they wanted to start a new politics, therefore they joined NCP. And also some liberal and the left people also joined NCP. Now, within the party, there was this, division, and there was this tension between the liberal and left and also the more like pro-Jamaat group. And what happened, what we have seen recently is that the pro-Jamaat fractions of the party has taken over the party and pushed the liberal and the centrist and the leftist group out of the party. As you can see, like several of the party
Yes, we saw
leaders, like,
some students leaders. We saw some student leaders leaving the party. So that
yes,
you are, yes.
yeah, so they left the party. So that means now the party has joined Jamaat, and that poses a serious risk, because initially the party was saying like they are going to offer new politics. They are going to offer something, that is different from the traditional parties. But then, if the new politics is, doing coalition with a right-wing party for more seats, then I don't think like that fits the definition of new politics. However, uh, this was expected that the NCP will join Jamaat today or tomorrow. However, there were like the liberals and the centrists within the party were trying to make coalition with BNP. So they tried their best to make coalition with BNP or to remain independent. However, they failed to build coalition with BNP and also to remain independent, and therefore the pro-Jamaat section within the party were able to, drag the party in coalition with Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, in future, see, Bangladesh politics is now getting divided in between two groups. So traditionally speaking, there is like three groups in Bangladesh politics. One is the center left, and the center left politics were represented by Awami League and the leftist parties. Now, leftist parties, they haven't had much support. It's the Awami League who was the main party in that bloc. Uh, there is this centrist party, that is the BNP. Now, BNP, based on the need, sometimes they go to the center right or center left. Depends on the need and the time and the politics. The right wing is getting led by Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, in absence of Awami League, now the politics of Bangladesh should be dominated by these two groups, the centrist, led by BNP, and the right wing, led by Jamaat-e-Islami. NCP has very little electoral presence in Bangladesh. Okay, so they may have good impact in the political discussion, but they do not have electoral impact. So in the coming Bangladesh, after the election, whoever is going to win, definitely they will form the government. So if BNP wins, so Jamaat and NCP will be the opposition. And if BNP doesn't win, Jamaat and NCP will form the government. Now, based on the data we are seeing, there is no chance that the right wing is going to win. However, it is very possible that right wing will see the, Historia's victory in many seats that they have never imagined in the last 54 years of the country. So they would be coming to the parliament with significant number of seats and influence.
And do you also feel that the India factor will be much more prominent than it has been in the previous elections? So if you compare the upcoming elections with the previous elections, what is the narrative on India this time?
Okay. So actually, previously, we haven't had any election.
Okay.
2014, 18, and
Okay.
2024 was not an election. But the election was actually 2008. So that was the election. In that election, there were anti-India sentiment. Definitely, there were anti-India politics. Like, for example, BNP's slogan was "Save the country." However, uh, in today's, like in recent election, I think anti-India sentiment and the politics will play a very big role, because as you can see, both the right-wing groups are actually centered their entire election campaign focusing on anti-India sentiment.
Uh, my last question, that is about Awami League. Now, it is said that Awami League still retains 20 to 25% of its vote bank in suburban and rural areas. And because Awami League is banned from contesting elections, there's a lot of suspense on where that vote will swing. Will that vote go to BNP, or do these voters feel the Jamaat is a better alternative? And I feel that that swing will also be a deciding factor. Is that so? Am I right in my say understanding about this space that has created after Awami League's uh, departure from or forced departure from the Bangladeshi politics? And having said that, does Awami League have any future by the time next elections take place?
Okay. To answer the first question, again coming back to the at least 4 survey reports I have seen in last 3 months, the number of swing voters is significantly high. For two reasons, of course, a good number of young population is going to vote. So many of them haven't decided who they are going to vote. And also many Awami League supporters, most probably, decided not to disclose who they are going to vote, considering the current revenge atmosphere in the Bangladesh politics. So probably these two has positively contributed in terms of increasing the number of swing votes. Now, in the upcoming election, you see, Awami League has always a fixed vote group. The number varies. Like some survey were saying it's like 10%, some were saying 18%, some survey were saying it's like 20 plus percent. But if we look at overall, like the all accepted elections in Bangladesh, not the rigged one, the accepted one, we would see Awami League has around like 20 to 30% support. Sometimes it has increased, sometimes it has decreased. Now, out of that group, only one portion who are like diehard fan of Awami League, I think they are going to boycott the election. They will not come to vote in the elections. But rest, they are likely to come to vote for two reasons. One is, in the election, the domestic local politics play a very important role. And these people, they have their business, they have their, security concern and everything. So by joining with the ruling party or like the future ruling party, they would be able to ensure their safety and security. And in politics of South Asia, you know how these things work in the local politics. So they are going to participate in the vote. So therefore, I would not say like the entire Awami League voters will boycott the election. Now, moving to the second question that you have asked, yes, Awami League has a future, definitely, but not with the current leadership. The current leadership that Awami League have, they have created so much trauma in Bangladesh. I don't think they would be rehabilitated in the Bangladesh politics. But with time, if Awami League come up with a different set of leadership, if the leadership has been handed over to someone, a new face, and if they also reorganize the second or third layer of leadership, not in this election, but I think in the next election, they would be able to participate because, for a longer term, I don't think no government would be able to push a political party out of the politics, especially when like they have a big support. Like take the example of Jamaat. They participated in 1971 war. They have literally participated in genocide, but now they are one of the very strong political party in Bangladesh. So therefore, anything can happen in future of the Bangladesh politics.
Okay. Thank you so much for such insightful answers. And you have looked at the Bangladeshi politics. You've been writing on it for a very long time. And as expected, all eyes on the elections. And I think we'll see a substantial transition of power in the next few weeks. And let's wait for the electoral results. And we hope Bangladesh sees more stable and Bangladesh sees more stable politics. And we also hope for better ties between both the countries. Thank you so much, Asif. And thank you so much for your time. And we'll be back
Thank you.
with a new episode. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.